Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce Cinematics video session 251. So basically in the previous sessions we covered about the applications of cogroup. Today what we will do is we will cover a real-time scenario. Probably I may not be able to write any code today because there's one scenario which I want you to first of all understand. It will be a simple scenario and we will be actually grouping three tables. So co-grouping three particular tables. But firstly, we will understand what is the requirement, what is those three tables all about and why we need to do that. Just understanding. Okay. And of course, maybe in the next sessions, we will actually implement and write the code for it. Firstly, let me tell you, I have one of this table called product table. Okay. So I have named it as a product master. What it contains is it contains this column PID, which is nothing but the product ID. I have named it as PID in short form, and it contains the product name. So there's this company which has this particular data set or this particular table, and it contains these four unique products. So the P1 is laptop, the P2 tablet, the mobile is given the PID as P3, the smartwatch is given as PID P4. Okay. Now there's one more table which I have, which is nothing but the sales table. So for each of those products, so the PID is common, okay, in the product master as well as in the sales table. For each of those products, what are the units sold? Okay, that is something which I'm finding out over here. Cool. So that's the thing about units sold, right? Now, there after that we have something called as the support ticket. So you know what is the total ticket count? For example, like for P1, you have this 10. Okay, for P3, you have 5. For P6, it is 2. So like support tickets is like the number of issues, right? So for example, we have this product, the selling part is done, which we are tracking by the sales table, the number of sales which happened for each of those products. And we have something called as the support tickets table, like the product which got sold, what are the cases which has been raised, like what are the complaints which has been there related to those products. For example, if you see for P1 I have 10 ticket count, for which means like for this laptop a lot of issues came up, maybe a lot of complaints came up, a lot of cases has been uh, provided by the customer. So those particular things I'm logging in as a support ticket over here. That's the meaning of this one. Okay, so repeating that part again, it's the product master table, the first table, which contains the list of PID, product ID, and the product name. I have the sales table, which contains the product ID and as well as the number of units sold, right? And so, for example, P100 means like 100 laptops got sold, okay? And I have something called as the support ticket, which means for each of those products, what are the tickets which are there, okay? Definitely in product, I have this PID, and in sales, some of the PIDs are not missing. There is one extra PID as is there as well, which is not there in the product master. Same with the support, like all the list of PID which is there in product master is not there in support, as well as there's an addition PID which is not present in product master. Okay. Simply put, these are the three tables which I have. Okay. Now I created one scenario and complete details where I'm actually showing you like what are all the things which I have. So as I was mentioning, like all these three tables which I just talked about, right? I just put it over here. Okay. We just need to understand. This session will is all about understanding the requirement, the business requirement, what they want. And of course, after that, we are going to go with the solution. Okay. So I have mapped it over here the same way which I have explained. I have the sales table, which I mapped it over here. I have the support tickets as well, which I have mapped it over here. Now, what is the scenario? Let's understand the scenario. We are analyzing product performance across three systems or tables. So that's the requirement from the client that we are analyzing the product performance. Definitely, in real time, it will be huge. Okay, the data will be huge, but just for explanation purpose, I am reducing it to a very small size. Okay, let's say it's a very small business, or let's say it's the just of a startup kind of a product company. So in that case, we will understand. We have this A, which is the product master. I've named it as A. It's like you can say it's the first table, which contains the list of products officially launched by the company. So all these are nothing but the products which are officially launched by the company. Then comes the sales transaction tables where products that actually got sold are being put over here. Okay. So these are some of the products which actually got sold and that is mapped over here. For example, currently mobile and smartwatch, maybe they didn't get sold at all in that particular product company. So that's why it's not mapped over here. Fine. Then comes the support tickets, products for which customer raised support tickets. So, for example, for this P1 laptop, like some issues came up and the total count has been 10. So out of this 100 units which has been sold, like maybe it can be like this 100 units. It's not necessary that 100 people it got sold to. Like one person can also buy 2, 3 laptops, right? But out of those 100 units which is sold, 10 definitely came up with support tickets. Like some kind of issue was there. Maybe the laptop was not working. Maybe all the configuration of the laptop was not up to the mark. Some were missing. Some way or the other, some complaints were raised by the customers. So definitely they raised the tickets basically over there. Maybe, they just raised the complaint registration form. Okay. Now the thing is that, so sales transaction, support tickets, product for which customer raised support tickets, as I mentioned. Now, this is the whole scenario if you see. What I've done is for this P1 in A. So A is nothing but, this product master. So maybe I can also name it as A over here. Okay. And maybe let me just merge and center. Okay. And this sales table is nothing but B over here. Okay. So let me map B and this one, let me map it as C. Okay. So let me just merge and center. Let me make it bold and the same thing over here. Okay. Now, these are the product ID. So instead of product, maybe I can mention product underscore ID just so that it's not confusing. Now, in this product ID, if you see, these are the product ID. Now, what are the things which are in A? So P1 to P4, these are all present in product master, as you can see. When it comes to sales table, I have this P1, P2, okay, and P5. That's why I have put a tick mark over there. Other cross means those are not over there, right? And similarly for C, if you see P1, P3 is there, P6 is also there. Okay. This is the whole business scenario, right? Now, there can be a few common questions. These questions might come up, especially from those who are not having experience in the IT industry or, who are new to this business world. Usually people who have a bit of experience, they definitely may not have such kind of question, but I will just address this kind of common question, which might be asked by people who may have just, not worked practically, let's say, for any particular client. One of the common questions could be like how sales transaction is happening if product is not officially launched. So as I mentioned, these are the products which are officially launched, but in sales table, you have this P5, right? So if the product is not officially launched, then how come you are having the sales? Okay, that could be one of the questions. Now, just to help you understand, this kind of scenario is quite common. Like if you are someone who have worked, who have like, let's say a bit of experience in the IT industry, maybe it can be a minimum of 1 year. You definitely have encountered such kind of scenarios for sure, where, and in case you worked for, let's say more than 2 or 3 clients, because, this kind of things happens in any particular company. Every product goes through a life cycle. So it's never a single event. For example, there can be an idea of a product, let's say smartwatch. There can be a prototype. There can be a pilot. Pilot means, let's say a particular company, a particular client has its customer bases in various locations. Let's say USA, Europe, India. Now, and Malaysia, China. But let's say they want to test a particular products in certain regions. Let's say maybe in India or Japan, they want to test it. So that is known as pilot. That means although they have customer base in various countries, but they are specifically testing their products, or in rather selling their products to certain customers in certain regions, which is known as pilot. Pre-launch, maybe, like basically there's this launch where they're doing heavy advertisement. There can be this kind of a thing called pre-launch where, they have maybe set up a event. Let's say one particular event of that company set up where they are launched, and whoever attended that event, they might get at a certain discount price. After that pre-launch, maybe they will they will have mapped certain price. For example, let's say smartwatch, just an example I am saying in terms of INR. Let's say the smartwatch, they have this price as 1,000 rupees, but they had a pre-launch where they are providing at a discounted price of 200, let's say 800 rupees. So that's about pre-launch, and after that finally they will launch it, and there will be something called post-launch. So at the end of the day, you don't need to understand all these meanings, but just need to understand that there is some life cycle for a product, and sometimes there are certain pre-sales or pre-order or pilot sales which happens. So I was mentioning about this term called pilot, which means although this P5 is not officially launched, but during that pilot event, I mean, during that pilot process, they launched in certain regions. I was giving the example. There was this client, let's say, who had uh, customers globally, but they launched that product, let's say, only in India and Japan. Okay, to test how it works out. And then they will launch it globally based upon what kind of sell is happening, what kind of customer feedback they are getting. So that is quite common. That's why this P5 is there, although it's not officially launched. So that can be a case like either it has been pre-ordered or pilot sales. Okay. Now there can be another question like, hey, just a minute, that hey, how support tickets is there, is present, how support ticket is not launched, it will be present, how support ticket is mapped if product is not officially launched. For example, this P6, that can be another question which you have. Now, the reason for that is like product officially exists in the market, but data onboarding is delayed. Sometimes this is very common, like, the product is officially launched, but for some reason, let's say it didn't get mapped into the product master. That can be one of the reason. So, let's say they launched, for example, let's say right now it's January, they launched somewhere, or let's say last year December, they launched somewhere in the 10th December. Okay. And let's say this product master had to be refreshed in the month of January. Okay. Because it's the end of the quarter, they launched it somewhere around 10th December. That's why that product master never got updated, maybe. But that product was there and some support tickets are coming up. Okay. That could be the reason that, the on data onboarding, that means the product table for some reason didn't get mapped, maybe because of the short number of days. So maybe they wanted to wait for 20 days and they wanted to have that product table looked upon on a fresh basis. But during that 20 days only, some kind of support tickets came up. Okay. Or maybe the product exists only in specific countries. So for example, the last term which I mentioned, like maybe it can exist in specific country or pilot market. In our case, of course, there's a possibility that this can be the reason, because if it is existing in a pilot market, then definitely it should have been here as well. But again, the reason can be various, so it's not necessary sales table it's only getting there because it's in the pre-ordered. There can be some other reasons as well, right? So that's the thing for which the support ticket is also mapped, although it is not, you don't see it being there in the product master, which gives all the product which is officially launched. Okay. So maybe they wanted to test certain products to certain users, and from there only they got support tickets. Maybe internally, sometimes what happens in a company internally, whoever the employees are there, they are just distributing that product, and from there only they got the support tickets, some kind of complaint. So those got mapped actually. Okay. Although it's not officially launched to the users, or maybe they officially launch, but maybe that product table gets updated, let's say after 15 days. So maybe after one particular uh, period when the updation got over, then it got launched, and that's why it not got updated. This is the whole scenario. That's the whole thing. I wanted to explain you the scenario. I hope you understood this. Now we have certain questions we will walk through in the next session. Okay, so this session was all about explaining you the business scenario of it. And yeah, we will now understand all these questions and we will solve each one of them one by one. So yeah, let's meet very soon in our next session. Thank you.